I'm Sean Whalen.
And I'm Felissa Rose.
And this is Scream Dreams.
Did you know him or of him?
When he said I'm an actor and I've done some movies. You can really look me up on IMDb. I really got an actor.
Look, I'm not creepy.
I'm not creepy.
I'm not creepy as I'm going, I'd like to come to your house. I'd like to just... I was under the stairs.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Scream Dreams. I'm Catherine Corcoran, and with me, as always, are my beautiful co-hosts, Barbara Crampton and James A. Janisse. Oh, that was very good. Today, we are joined by two amazing people. The first is one of the most delightful humans on the planet. She has over 150 horror credits to her name and is a frequent guest at horror conventions across the country. She may be the most beloved woman in horror for her forever smile and kindness to everyone she meets. She has always been ahead of her time, creating a cottage industry out of her persona and tackling queer themes in cinema in iconic films like Sleepaway Camp. She's a regular on The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs and is a judge on the Boulet Brothers' Dracula. I'm talking about none other than Felissa Rose herself, who is joined today by the director of their new film. He's her best friend and most known for being a guy under the stairs in the cult hit The People Under the Stairs, and dozens of other films, including That Thing You Do and the original Twister, which now has a remake back in theaters. Today, we're going to talk about their new film, Crust. Please welcome Felissa Rose and Sean Whalen.
That was so kind.
I wrote that.
She did.
She did.
I added.
Wonderful.
But good job,
Twisters
Catherine.
isn't a remake.
Amazing.
It's a sequel.
It's a
it's a
standalone,
standalone. It's a
but
standalone.
little harkening back.
Some references, yeah.
Well, it wouldn't
Easter
exist without him.
That's
the
right.
Point.
Yes.
Is the
Hell
point
yeah.
we're making
That's
here.
true.
But between the two of you, how many movies have you been in? Like, if you added
Probably
them all
over
up.
300.
Jesus.
300.
Yeah.
Right?
I love seeing Sean pop up and stuff. Tammy and the
Yes.
T-Rex.
Oh, yes.
Tammy and the T-Rex for sure.
That's a big one.
Jersey Boys?
Jersey Boys, yes.
Which we went to see
We went to see
together.
live Jersey Boys.
At the
And
Pantages.
How did you guys first meet?
okay,
This is a
so
good
this is a
story.
good
Yeah.
story.
Oh,
so,
God.
so you have to
Tell me.
understand, I am one of the few that saw Sleepaway Camp in a theater.
Nice.
God, wow.
I'm talking
He's
about the first.
170.
How old were you? You must have been like
we were
8
in college.
years old.
We were in college.
Oh, you were in college?
So me and my friend Doug, he came to me and he said, we were being counselors for the summer, and he says, dude, we have to go see this movie. It's called Sleepaway Camp, and we're going to go be counselors at Sleepaway Camp. And I said, why do we have to go? And he goes, because it says you go in a bus, come back in a box. And I go, oh, yeah, we got to go.
Yeah.
Of course. So we go with our other friend. We're in the theater. There's about, sprinkled around about 45 people or whatever. And then when it ended.
Was it in New York?
No, it was in LA.
It was in
It was in
LA.
LA,
Oh,
and it was at the
okay.
in Westwood. And we went down, and when it ended, I've never seen this, never since, or never before, ever. The lights go up, and everyone's like, "Hey, man, wait." So the guy that was, is that the uncle or the friend that? And then we're all like just talking, and then the theater people came in and go, "You guys have to leave." So we were just big group, and we stood on the sidewalk and talked about it forever, going like, "Wait a minute, wait, because he did this." And so we leave, and we go, "We got to come back." And when we came back the next week with a bunch of friends, it was gone. So we had to wait forever to wait for it to get on video, and literally we would
Imagine that. They had to wait
Right.
to watch
Yes,
it.
yes. Like it wasn't 2 weeks on streaming. And when it came out, we went nuts. We had party after party to watch it and turn
It
on
was like
people.
your favorite movie.
It was I've seen that movie more than any movie I've ever seen in my life.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
So everybody knew it, and it was a litmus test for friends. Like if they're like, I don't really get it, we were like, lose that number.
And this is a funny story, like fast forward.
Yes.
Like maybe
So,
15 years ago.
Yeah, a neighbor friend.
There was a thing called Hollywood is Calling. It was kind of like Cameo, where you can call actors. And
On the phone? Like a phone?
Yes.
Yeah,
a
like a
phone
phone call.
call.
And
Oh.
so
My
Ed
friend
Neal signed
bought
me
it
up.
for
Ed
me.
Neal. He signed me up. He was like, you have to be on this thing. Hollywood is calling. And I said, okay, okay. I had little babies then. I wasn't really into conventions or anything. And someone bought it for him. So I got a call from Sean Whalen. I said, hello. He's like, hi, is this Felissa Rose?
Dude.
And I said, oh, yes,
what a
hello."
moment.
He said,
Dude.
hey, yeah, I live near you.
Yeah. I
great
go,
opening.
where do you live? She's like, Sherman Oaks. And I go,
He goes,
live
I live
Sherman
very close. Would you like to go for coffee?
I'd love to.
I was like, I will never do Hollywood is calling again.
But did you know him or of
No.
him when he
No
called?
idea.
He said, I'm an actor and I've done some movies. You can
it-
really look me up on IMDb.
Oh,
I feel
I
like
was
I'm an
like,
actor.
please.
Look, I'm not creepy.
I'm not creepy.
I'm not creepy as I'm going, I'd like to come to your house. I'd like to just.
I was under the stairs.
Like, I was
know.
everything. And then so that was it. And then when we met literally at Indiana, it was in Indiana.
Indiana Days of
We
the
go to the
Dead.
phone. I walked over and I came to her table. She came to mine. And I'm not even kidding. We became family within a half an
best
hour.
friends in
Literally,
like
like
30
we were
minutes.
in the bar 30 minutes later. We're talking about life, our ups, our downs, personal stuff. And
Drunk,
we've been
like
just dancing, crazy.
So like embracing each other, like left the convention and didn't want to leave one another. Just like you
Yeah.
are my
So
brother
I knew you
forever.
guys were such good friends, but I didn't know how you
Yeah,
met.
that was
Yeah,
so
been through
great.
a lot
but
together.
and we are strong believers in manifestation. And I go, it's not crazy that my movie career is with Felissa, who was literally the movie I saw
Right.
for years. Like I feel like,
debut, right?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so
Yes.
great.
I
It's so
never
great.
thought
It's
about
very
that.
funny and cute and dear, like all those
Yeah.
things.
He's so
It's very
sweet, and
strange.
it's it's a movie that really came from a place of he was going through a hard time in life. So I feel like it's a very authentic film
Yeah.
that has so much heart that is very similar to Sleepaway Camp in that there's like this anti-hero, there's this character that you fight for.
Yeah.
And you really, even though there's mayhem and crazy killings and whatnot, there's these beautiful characters that you really love.
Yeah.
And that's, that's Crust. And we've been through from day one,
Probably like
the journey.
right.
It's been about 8 years.
Yeah, different
Really, 8
developing.
years?
And, well, we what she's
When you
talking
first
about,
conceived the idea.
I'd gone through a pretty bad divorce, and I was very depressed. And for some weird reason, when I was over it, I got angry. But it wasn't at anything. It wasn't at something specific.
Yeah.
I was just mad. And people get saying, "Oh man, you should have had a pet." I was like, "A pet? I couldn't tie my shoes. I didn't know what a toothbrush was when you're depressed."
But why is that? Because usually you get angry at the beginning and then there's a grief and a sadness. But you
I
went
have no
opposite.
clues. I started
Yeah.
to get anxious and depressed. And then when I came out of it, I was just so I think it's maybe the waste of time it felt like, or what. I don't know what it was.
How long were you
Very
married
sad
for?
I was
and
very, and she
angry,
was there
yeah.
with me the whole time. But
through
then when
all
I
that.
came out of it, and someone said, "You should have a pet," and I go, "A pet?" Like
Sorry. I'm sorry, the pet thing makes me laugh.
and I was like,
Why
I can't
a
do
pet?
anything. But I had pitched a long time ago. Someone goes, "You don't know how to do it. Horror movies are expensive." I go, "You could do like a laundromat, one location, and a sock monster. That's cheap, But I remembered that, but then I go, "Oh, what if I had a pet that got rid of my problems?"
Yeah.
And then it
Okay.
just literally flew out of me.
So
like in
did
3
you write
weeks.
this or did
I
you
wrote it,
co-write
I
it?
co-wrote it with and so I had my friend Jim, who was not a writer, but he's one of these guys you go to the movie with, and he would just nail you on logic and go, no, but that, so I go, he's the perfect person because it's a crazy story, and we make each other laugh like crazy. So I poured it out. I remember giving it to Felissa, and she just called me and just said, "This is so special." She was so moved
so
by
special,
it. Well, especially because she'd been through what I had been through.
But I
with
thought
me.
it was also unique. And I'm excited to see new ideas,
Right.
new films, new
It feels very like
creativity.
a Little Shop of Horror.
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly.
It's
It's
like
little-
the practical monsters, the puppeteering. It's really fun, and there's not a lot like that right now.
Well, we
and we had a real
watched-
puppeteer
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Jim Henson Studios.
Yeah.
gosh. Oh,
really?
Really
Wow.
creative.
She worked on the Dr. Teeth show,
That's
that
amazing.
band show, and she and we were so excited to like get it off the ground and get the puppeteer and all that stuff that it just kind of became.
It all
special.
fell into place
And it
when-
kind of
with
all
the
fell
right
into place, and then we were, Felissa, we had just. She was busier, I was busier, and different producers. And I'd say, "Do you mind if these other producers do?" And they'd come in and go like, oh, there's not enough blood or boobs or this or that. And I'd go, okay.
Nope.
Nope. And then one time a guy was like, yeah, man, and you can have a lot of nudity because look at all the nude actresses I can work with. And he's sending me pictures, and I talked to Felissa, and Felissa goes, don't do this guy. Please don't do this guy. And she had
as
a
much
partner.
as you want to make this film, the right group of people will
So
surface.
she had her partner, Dan Kearney. She gives it to him. He calls me. We do a Zoom call, and everyone else is always like, do you need to do black and white? Do you need to do this? Can you do this? Can you do that? He literally goes, oh, I know what you're doing. And he goes, I struggle with anxiety and depression myself at one time. And I went, this is the guy.
Yeah.
This has to be the guy. And we just went on it that was 2021. Yeah.
Put a great team together with
Yeah.
our amazing producer, Chris Sergi.
Yes. He's
Who's here watching?
yes, he's there watching us.
I love him.
He helped us land the plane at fabulous Anchor Bay, who is
Yes,
also
good
here
Anchor
with
Bay.
us.
Yes.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan.
Michigan. So yeah, it was exciting, and it was so nice to finally bring it back to Felissa and us and the same kind of crew that we had back in 2016.
You want to love the people you're around
Yes.
and who you work with, and that's the beauty of life.
And we
right?
have the same philosophy: no a-holes on set. No negativity.
Gratitude, not attitude.
Yes.
Well, I,
You need a T-shirt.
And that is the truth. I will speak
is.
that from until
what about the
day I
other
die.
people in the movie?
Like Danny.
Danny, I know for like a long time.
Sure.
Danny Roebuck,
And
Alan Rock.
Alan.
Alan
How did you get them
Nice.
involved?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Alan.
Yeah.
That's
Alan,
a big get
uh,
nowadays.
oh,
with
yeah.
Succession. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan and I have been friends, obviously, since Twister.
Oh, sure, yeah.
All back into
He is
it.
another that cast. I was telling you
Yeah.
beforehand. You watched that first movie. You're like, wait, what? Like Jeremy Davies is running
Yeah,
around, and
Jeremy Davies,
Patrick
Todd
Fischler.
Field,
Yeah,
Todd
just-
Field.
Yeah.
it's nuts.
Yeah.
Just
And we had been friends because I got in that truck the first day, and I'm like, I have my backstory, and who do you think we are? He's like, how about Sean and Alan in a truck? And I was like, what? And he goes, dude, this is about the special effects. Just relax and have
this
fun.
is Bill's story.
And, right, and so because we relaxed, the fans have all said, you guys, because we didn't care, we were just having fun.
Right.
They said, nah, your camaraderie is way better than a lot of other team movies, because we didn't care. Like me and Phil Hoffman went food. That's because me and Phil did that all the time. We just got to, Jan would go, say something funny, okay? Just do something, and
the
then it was
best
fun.
stories he has.
I heard
from
that
set.
production is
Stories.
nuts.
Hilarious.
Crazy
So it was
stories.
nuts? Why was it nuts?
Because Jan de Bont probably shouldn't have given up being a DP on it. You know what I mean? Because he just would grab the camera and like do stuff, and then it was frustrating that for him, he would see things in his brain but wouldn't say them, and then he'd get mad that you didn't know it. It wasn't torture.
awkward, yeah.
It really wasn't torture. It would happen sometimes, but it felt like you're like, dude, you should have been the director and DP, because it's one of those things where they don't want to give up the camera.
Yeah.
And then he did. Then he got really mad and pushed a guy over. The camera guys had to bring a whole new.
Didn't the crew like walk?
Yeah,
Because
the
of that?
whole crew walked.
Yeah,
and they got a
like, physical
whole new. And
altercation.
Spielberg flew into town, and the story is he flew into town, walked down the private jet, yelled at Jan for 15 minutes, left, and the next day we had a new crew.
Oh
That
my
was it.
God.
hello.
That's
my It was
so
God.
I never
crazy.
heard that.
Yeah.
Oh, and Bill and Helen got blinded by lights.
That's right.
They got
Yeah, those super
bruised.
bright lights to make the
Yes.
sky darker behind them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got beamed on the head by. They're like, look at this. Look at the hail machine. It's just ice shooting out, and they go, look, it's totally safe. And there's like huge chunks, and we're all going. And they're like, see, it's fine. Just go over there. So I went in
Like
there.
actual fear that is on film.
Oh, a huge piece of ice hit me on the head, bloody. I fell off and stuff. And I was like, and I thought, and Jan was like, oh, get up there. It'll be great. I'll shoot something with you. And I fall off. I drive in the truck. I go, this is going to be great in the movie. You know what I mean? And Jan goes, oh, I didn't see you.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't remember that part.
But I didn't need stitches, but I was still like, thank God.
And I needed some stitches.
Yeah, no, I didn't need stitches, which is good.
Okay,
But
good.
poor Jamie Gertz was literally
Oh,
breastfeeding her baby.
Oh, my
and
God.
Ice Cube just going bam, bam, bam
Oh,
on her
my
chest.
God.
And she's like, and I went over and I go, Jamie, are you okay? She goes, you don't have nursing boobs. You have no idea what I'm going
right.
through.
Oh, my God. I know.
Horrifying, right?
Oh, yeah.
I
so
felt
it's
bad
like
enough for her
crazy.
character in the movie. Now to hear that too.
We're all like,
Yeah. So you got Alan in because
he and I had been he came and talked to my acting class one time and my students, and we had been in touch for several things, and I remember just going, "Hey man, will you do my first directorial debut?" And he goes, "Sure." So then, we mentioned it. Yeah. He was doing Succession. He was traveling in Europe or whatever. And I said, "Hey, man, do you still want to do it?" He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, don't." I said, "I don't know what you're." He goes, "Don't worry about my rate or anything. Let's
he was
let's
the
do it."
easiest actor to work with.
Yeah.
In fact, he called me one day and said, "Hey, I want to buy a grilled cheese truck for the cast and crew. Yeah. So here's my American Express." I'm like, "Okay, Alan, thank you."
Why specifically grilled
Very
cheese?
specific. And I found a grilled cheese / hamburger truck. Yeah. And he showed up that night, and he had the entire cast and crew run to the truck,
so
and
sweet.
we called for.
That makes such a difference.
The best.
It was beautiful, and it was halfway through our shoot, so it was really lovely.
I just love that it was specifically grilled cheese.
It was grilled cheese.
No. It's like
grilled cheese.
because it's a night shoot. Maybe he's thinking comfort food.
Yeah.
Were they all nights? Because was that
all
an
nights.
operating?
Oh.
Because mostly the movie takes place in a laundromat.
Yes.
So was that nights because it was operational during the day?
Yeah.
So much fun, Barbara.
Yeah.
I bet.
So much fun.
6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I was like,
In a
call me if you
laundromat.
need me. I
Call
live
me
5
if you
minutes
need
away.
me. She's like, "A fresh cucumber, please." No, we had a but it was so funny because when I said, "Hey, we want to drop the article, so before we start our Indiegogo, so people will know." And he goes, "Yeah."
Oh,
and
it's Indiegogo. Okay, I
"Yeah,"
didn't
and
know
I
that
said,
either.
"Right," and I said, "Have you read the script?" And he's like, "No." And I go, he goes, "Yeah." So we put the article in, and it says, he plays an ex-child actor who's bitter and trying to get, and he texts me. He goes, "Ooh, that sounds like a good part." But he's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And that was Danny Roebuck too. I said, "Hey man, I don't want to take your schedule."
Danny
and he
didn't know
said,
as well.
and Danny said, no, give me a bigger part so I can work more with you.
Yeah, how do you know Danny then?
So Danny, I met after he did, do you remember the Letterman Leno movie, Late Shift? That they did it was all about the when they were trying to replace Johnny Carson.
Yeah, for the Tonight Show,
and all that drama. So they did a movie about it, and he played Jay Leno. I remember, so I sat down and I saw him in an audition, and I was leaving, and I said, "Hey, I just want to let you know, man, your Jay Leno was so great. I've always been a fan." And we chatted because that's Danny. He just chats with everybody and so friendly.
Very friendly.
So then we left, and then I remember like a few years later, we were doing Wizards of Waverly Place and their big Halloween episode, and we sit down, and I remember sitting across, and I go, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "What are you doing here?" And we go, "We're making a buck." And we had a blast, and we became friends from then. Then we did Lost together, and we've done Rob Zombie's movies together.
Yes.
I forgot that you were. I'm so sorry that I forgot that you were also on Lost
Because he loves Lost.
I love Lost.
I was Frogurt, the guy with the arrow in the chest.
And so you had a lot of the stuff on the webisodes, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, which I watched because that's
Right.
how much I was into Lost. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I know Frogurt for sure." Daniel played Arts.
Right, so
right?
he
got
and
blown
I
up.
arguably have the best death on those shows.
Yeah, the
because he
dynamite.
exploded, and I say, "This place needs fire. We're not going to live if we don't have fire. We need fire."
And then
Flaming
arrow.
arrow.
Yeah, right in the chest. Yes, hell yeah.
good.
So we were both like, "Who has the best death?" So we were over there shooting Lost as we were watching Halloween 2, which we were both in.
Oh,
So that was really
He's
fun
awesome.
too.
That's
Who would
so
you give
great.
the golden chainsaw to?
In Lost?
Yeah.
Between the two of them, I gotta go with Arst. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That
Yeah.
explosion
Such a
is
great-
so
No.
good. Yeah.
I absolutely know.
Well, what about the other gal who plays your new love interest in the movie?
Oh, Rebecca.
Rebecca.
So that's a weird story. We, her manager, he said, "Hey, can you coach for this one role?" She came in to coach with me. And as soon as we saw each other, I went, "Oh, I get you," because she looks really young for her age. She's charactery. Basically, we talked and we've gotten the same messaging our whole thing. You're so specific. You're so specific, but you're great. And then when we wouldn't work, they'd be like, "Well, you're so specific and you're so, and you look young for your age. How old are you?" Really? Like we just had the same experience. And we actually had a different actress I'm not going to say her name, which was fantastic, but a scheduling conflict messed up on our table read. And Rebecca came in, and I remember giving it to her the night before, and I said, and she walked in with the oddest face, and I go, are you okay? She goes, yeah. And I go, what do you think? She goes, I love this role. I love this role. It's so great.
Yeah.
And we sat
love
down.
Rebecca. She's so sweet.
She's so great. And we had Rebecca Kennedy. She's right now, like, she's going to have a few movies dropping, but like Two Witches is very big internationally and stuff like that. But she, I could never get her out of my mind. And the actress that we had, you know, kind of grown up and looked kind of different for the part. Rebecca kind of stayed the same. And we ended up, you know,
great chemistry.
Great chemistry.
Funny
That's
how
what
that works out.
She pulled me aside after the table read. She goes, "You guys have great chemistry," you know, and we saw it, and so then, and it was great. And she's just a hustler, and we knew that if we didn't have chemistry in this movie, the whole thing doesn't work. And so we worked like in an acting class for 6 months before the movie, just kind of doing stuff over and over to make sure that if we, you know, we'd say to the class, like, please don't lie to us. Like, if we don't
have... Was it your acting class? Or?
Yeah, no, it was a friend of ours. But I was like, if we don't, you have to tell us, because that, you know, the love triangle between her and me and Crust does not work.
We were just talking about that with Jeffrey Combs about like how there's no rehearsal. Like there used to be time in certain projects where you could rehearse before, and obviously in theater, it's built into your contract. But we don't do that now. So a lot of times you just kind of walk onto a set and don't know what you're doing.
Danny did that, and he killed it. I mean, he came in.
Amazing.
He was so quick to pick it up
him.
and just nailed it.
Yeah.
You know, he goes, I want to be Snyder from what was that?
One Day at a Time.
One Day at a Time. He goes, I want to look like Snyder. And he was. He was. 100% did it.
He was.
And then I wrote a specific part for Felissa, which I think, you know,
And I always
think
play like this bitchy, crazy wife. Which
do you always do that? I thought you were so great.
I feel like I play a lot of bitchy wives.
Or
which is so funny.
bitchy principal, you know.
Bitchy principal. And then in Stream, I'm also the bitchy wife, and then I'm his bitchy ex-wife. Hey, you know, and it's fun because I hopefully am not really, you know, in life.
You're literally one of the sweetest people I've ever met.
I know, exactly. I agree.
And
maybe it's because you speak so softly.
I'm so soft. I know. Sometimes I'm at conventions.
Oh, God.
And I realize, I'm like, I am so fucking loud. Oh my God, shut up. Like, Tom Savini and Tyler Mane were across from me this week, and they must have headaches. Like,
No, but when we would go to conventions together, people go, if you want this convention to be fun, put these guys next to each other. And we would
you really
have,
do bring the party. I remember one of the first conventions I ever did, it was like getting kind of quiet in the room. It was like right after COVID, so everyone was just starting to come back. And you were like, guys, it's too quiet in here. And you just did like a scream, like a big like horror movie scream. And everyone just like turned and then started applauding. And like the energy just like went up in the room. It was great. It was so good.
You know, I'm from a big Italian crazy family, and I grew up with everyone being super loud.
Yeah, my family
so I don't
too.
know volume.
Yeah.
And I'm having fun. I realized I even walked into the convention this weekend singing and dancing, and everybody's like,
but how do you keep going? Because you were just telling us.
Though she loves.
I
people.
know. You were just telling us earlier that you went on 48 weekends last year for a convention.
48 conventions in a year.
48 conventions.
Yeah.
How the?
last year.
Yeah.
That's as many.
Do you keep
contiguous
do you keep, like,
states.
a list of all of them? Like, do you know which are?
No.
I
can guarantee you that's
because like this. I would love like to see like I'm a little type A, so
I would love a spreadsheet.
Me and James love a good spreadsheet, and
Or like
so
a map.
Yes.
Right.
So
Right.
I have a spreadsheet of where they are, what the convention was, what my thoughts were.
Oh my God.
I
Nice.
so I
Hell
can
yeah.
remember because I'll forget now.
Yeah.
Now that we do more of
No,
them, I'll
I do
forget.
remember.
So
I
you remember every single
You
one.
do?
convention.
Really?
I could probably tell you every single one I've been at this year and last year.
Yeah.
Really?
I love.
Do you have a favorite?
A favorite convention?
Yeah.
I love them all. They're like my children. I love them all for different reasons. It's like different characters or different movies.
Right.
There's so many different reasons. Like they're, you know, legitimately, I love different shows because I get to see different friends, and there's different panels or photo ops, and it's just a joy to like be part of this community that is filled with so much inclusivity and happiness and love for the genre that we all love and adore.
Yeah.
So for me, this is like, I can't even believe it. I pinch myself all the time. I honestly do have so much gratitude for being a part of a community that is so
Yeah, so loyal.
Yeah.
Well, and she also taught me because I hadn't done a lot of conventions, and she just makes everybody who comes in front of her feel seen and respected. And you don't have to spend, 30 hours, but she wants to know who you are.
Yeah.
Because we have said, like, if you're doing a play, you'd go out in the lobby and you would meet the people. Well, our plays are all the time. And so it's that lucky thing that you get to, and you hear the stories like mine. This was the movie I grew up with, was Sleepaway Camp, But it was so wonderful one day she said, I don't want people to just see Angela. She goes, someday I really want people to just see Felissa. And she's achieved it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's now you all the time.
We were saying on the show that we literally last week, the last time we taped or something, we were like, Felissa has arguably made Sleepaway Camp bigger because of
you've created the awareness.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because of who you are in the circuit. Like Sleepaway Camp is beloved because you are beloved.
Yes, that's right.
If you go to
It's
a
true.
con, I was at a con 6 years ago, and I went back to New Jersey Horror Con, and I saw tons of people with Sleepaway Camp stuff, and I go, that's Felissa. It's
very popular.
Single-handedly,
That is
she brought
so-
awareness.
No, it really is true.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
To me.
It really is true.
Thank
But
you.
every once in a while, she'll say something like, it sounds like Burt Reynolds or something like that, or whatever. She'll say something, and I go, I'm doing business with Angela.
Hilarious.
What is going on?
Oh my God, that's so cute, you guys.
Hollywood's calling.
And me and Doug have a shtick from beginning to end. She's like, you have to come and join me one time because we have moments that we do funny bits for when we watch the movie. I mean, it's crazy.
Well,
Yeah,
I remember meeting you too, where we've talked about this on the show as well, but the horror conventions were not something I really wanted to do at first. I was very nervous and I would get very anxious and very uncomfortable. And in the beginning, we weren't always Jenna and I weren't always not that we weren't welcomed, but we were definitely pressured to do things that we didn't want to necessarily do, and they were nerve-wracking. And we only had done one before the pandemic, and the pandemic happened, and then the next one I did afterwards was without her. She couldn't be there, so I was alone, but you were there. And the only other time this had ever happened was at my first one with Barbara. So I'm there and I'm by myself and I'm very, very nervous, and I'm not really sure what to do. And before anyone could even come over to get anything signed, you ran across the room and you were like, Catherine, I'm doing Terrifier 2. I love you. And you were so excited to see me. And I was just so just amazed that you even had any idea who I was. And you were so
I
warm.
thought you'd been doing them for so
You
long.
were- no,
I didn't know this was fairly recently.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had done we've talked about it so many times in the show. I feel bad for the listeners, but I had done Comic-Cons, but those are press junkets.
Right.
I'd done San Diego Comic-Con and I had done New York Comic-Con for other films, but the sitting down and having people come to you in line, I have social anxiety, so I was just very
of
nervous.
Course. It is like that a little bit.
Yeah, and now it's I don't even have to think about it anymore. But that's so much because of people like you guys who just welcomed me in and made me feel so comfortable right off the bat that and honestly, when I moved out here, I felt comfortable because I had all these friends.
I credit you for my friendship with Barbara because at our first convention, me and Chelsea's first convension was that Rochester, New York one, Scaricon.
Scary.
Yeah, so we were up there. It was late
Scary.
2019, and we were there, and we knew you. We had met you previously, but we had only met Barbara as fans, and she still felt so out of reach from us, oh, it's Barbara Crampton.
Right.
But it was at the after party in that I don't know, the hall attached to it with the bar and everything. You were oh, let me introduce you to Barbara. And I remember we got to talk to you for a little bit. And then after that, we were we talked to Barbara Crampton. It's so cool. Thank you, Felissa.
That's cute. And I always tell you how I feel that way about you. I mean, I feel that way about all of you. And I'm still I'm insecure. So feeling like I'm part of this community is always I can't believe it, all of that stuff. And I get so weird when I'm around you, James, But I love that, seeing how much love is in the community. Everybody's so close.
They will do anything for
everybody.
you. Anything.
The actors, the guests, the artists. It's such
Yeah, we're all fans of each other's.
Right.
And when I did meet Catherine too, I knew her from a movie called Long Lost, and I was a fan of hers in that movie, and so I went right up to her.
I was a fan of Barbara.
And then I was like, I really loved you in that movie.
My mouth fell.
Yeah.
to the
And was that
ground.
same
Right.
convention
Yeah.
too?
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
It was the same convention.
Yeah.
You were there, Felissa.
Yeah,
Really?
we
Yeah.
probably
It was the one-
met. We had probably met at that convention,
It was
but I just
Rochester,
didn't register.
right?
Yeah, it was
until you
Rochester
got
with all the
over to me,
Terrifier
like-
people because there was a row
Yeah.
of them,
Yeah,
and
because
then
I
Chelsea
was
and I
like,
were
who
at
are
the
these
end.
Terrifier people?
Yeah.
What is this movie, Terrifier?
Right.
And why is there like 100 people lined up? What is this movie? I didn't.
Right.
I didn't know.
It was, we were,
Yes.
Jenna at that one didn't even have like enough photos. Like we had to go to FedEx day of because like we had no idea what we were doing. Like it was just like,
You guys
this will
were
be enough.
It's so funny that because I don't even know if that convention's still around. I don't think it survived
Oh,
the
it didn't?
pandemic.
Oh, it didn't?
Yeah, because it was a
I think
smaller
they're
one.
gonna
It was
bring
very
back.
small.
Yeah,
We
but
actually-
it's so pivotal
It
for like
was.
it's
All
like
of
the
us-
Scream Dreams
all of
origin
us.
story.
Manifestation.
Yeah,
Yes.
You talk
Wait,
about
were you there, Sean?
manifestation all the
I
time.
went to
All the
two
time.
scare. That's where I met Ricky Dean Logan, who's in the movie. As
Oh,
well.
great!
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
met Ricky
that's
there.
right.
from Freddy's
And
Dead.
that was he read the script and he was like, I gotta do this. You know what I mean? I gotta do this movie. And,
Oh,
Yeah.
great!
and he's great in it. Ricky Dean Logan,
Yeah,
guy who
he's
plays her
wonderful.
new boy. He's so
That was an
funny.
interesting
He's
scene.
so funny.
He was funny in
Yeah,
just
he's
showing up.
very
I've never
funny,
done
yeah.
any nudity or any sex scenes in any movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was interesting because
That
it's
was your
like
first
Yeah.
time?
that. I think maybe now I've had like I kissed Richard Grieco. He's my husband. I've had good husbands.
Yeah.
Lou Temple, Daniel Roebuck, Dave Sheridan.
And
I-
honestly, it was kind of weird that she said, "Do me a favor. I can't be your wife." She said, "I can't be your
Oh,
wife
okay.
because I won't kiss you." No, I'm kidding.
I'm like, did you see my face? I'm like, I don't recall that conversation. What?
She goes, "I have great ones, but you're the friend zone like elementary school all over again."
Yeah. Tell us about the creature of Crust and who did that for you?
So essentially, it was gonna be a guy in a sock suit, like a man,
Like a man.
like a man in a
Spoilers
sock
for
suit.
those
Yeah,
listening.
yeah.
This
Oh,
is
yes,
Sock Monster.
yes.
It's a sock
Sock
monster.
monster.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
not had a chance to see it.
So,
but I
so
will.
the
I was wondering why you didn't call the movie Sock Monster.
there was a short
Sock
that was
monster.
called. There's like a short. Derek Mears did a.
Oh,
one
really?
Yeah, I've never seen it, but and then it was the special effects guy for Teen Wolf the TV series. I didn't.
I know who that is.
Eric Porn.
Eric Porn.
Yes,
I know
love
him.
Eric.
Yeah.
So Eric Porn we used to worked with Rob Hall on Laid to Rest. That's where I met Eric, and we were friends. And he literally, when my nephew came out, all of my other nephews and nieces wanted to do like roller coasters and stuff like that, but he was very artistic and took them to Eric's thing, and he showed them all these special effects and all this computer generated stuff. And my son my nephew graduated from Cal Arts. And it was that trip that inspired him to go into it. And so I talked to Eric, and he goes, I think he needs to be cute. And I said, really? So he goes, I'm thinking like a cute Oogie Boogie.
From Nightmare
From
Before
Nightmare,
Christmas.
yeah. And he goes, and so I paid him to make it, and when he made it, I was like, oh, this is really great, and we tried to do some stuff with it. And then when we were doing it, some of the investors were like, we're not going to pay that much for a puppeteer, whatever that's a lot of money. And I go, it's like saying to Spielberg, like, we have a great budget, but E.T. is going to be a little cheaper. We're not going to spend money on it. And so it was great. So we had this idea, and I went over, and I went to the puppeteer and put it in her lap, and I said, hey, Crust, are you happy? And he just all this stuff. It was a 40-second video. We sent it to all the investors, and they're like, yeah, sign her up. Sign her up.
He's angry. He had so much expression.
I know. I love the
And
eyes.
she literally is the
we
sweetest.
love
She's
our
so-
Rachel.
Rachel is just amazing.
The puppeteer. Beautiful, sweet
That's the
woman.
Jim Henson.
Yes.
Yeah.
From Jim
And she had
Henson.
her, but it was so funny. Like she had her little table in the back, and other departments have to
into
go
it.
like, hey man, you stay away from my apartment. But she would just sit there and she's sewing puppets
would
that she's making,
crochet.
and she's like doing stuff and just people knew not to mess with her.
You don't mess.
Like I'm over here. With
And
the
then
puppies.
when she had to do her stuff, it's so difficult because she doesn't have the proper setup, right? So she had to get a phone like this and hold it up. You know how they do it.
Yeah.
You know, they have those monitors,
Yeah.
really. But it was really physical. And I finally said, okay, everybody stop. I am not directing. Rachel's directing. And she would always take over for her stuff because she knew exactly what she needed to do. And I didn't have ego about it. I go, I'd rather be good than be in charge.
Well,
and she would take over, and it was amazing.
It
and
was-
we never did any green screen to do her out.
Wow.
Ever. That's all
wow.
practical.
It was such a surprise when Crust showed up. I was like, what?
right.
Wait, because I didn't. When I first started watching the movie, I was like, "What kind of movie is this?" I'm not
Right.
sure.
Right.
And then Crust shows up, and I'm like, "Oh, this is a proper horror movie with this
Right.
weird guy,
Right.
thing." And it's almost like it made me think of those grand movies like The Blob or something.
Yes.
You
It
know.
was,
Yeah.
it's so funny. I
Yeah.
based it on. Crust is based on Little Shop of Horrors. I
That's what I'm
watched
saying.
that
It was
one.
so Little Shop
So
before.
Little.
The
I love-
original, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
The
exactly
original.
what
The
it feels
Corman.
like.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
start.
even with his dance number.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's all I could think of. I
Yeah.
love Little
Yeah.
Shop. Is like,
But you
I was
start to
having so
watch
much
it,
fun.
but see what happens is Seymour is terrified. But my guy, because I was depressed, I went, it's more like Willard.
yeah.
So he starts to go, oh, well, this isn't that bad. I don't really, I don't hate it. And there's a lot of people who just go, yeah, but he helps you get better, but it's not the right way to get better, obviously, So the whole
Good character arc. There's
the things that I didn't. An editor said to me, "You to start with the movie you write, start with the movie that you shoot, and then you end with the movie you have." And I ended up with a cautionary tale about depression and anxiety and trying to solve it quickly through fame and social media, and in a 1940s noir setting.
Yeah.
Kind of,
there
right?
you
Yeah, it's
go.
cool. Is that why you
That's
wanted
the-
it to be black and white? Or?
Because and this is her genius. I was like, I don't know how to say it. I don't know. She goes, let's call it a creature feature horror comedy. And I go, what does that mean? She goes, it doesn't matter. But that's what it is. She's like, but that's what it is. And she's right. It's a creature feature
no,
horror
I
comedy.
knew
Say what it
exactly
is.
I knew exactly what you meant when you said that.
Yeah. And that was her term. That
Yeah.
was such a great term because
we've
people
heard
were
it.
like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So
You don't remember saying that?
No, of
It
course.
was
I remember the
genius.
conversations.
Yeah.
do you have your poster already? Because your movie's coming out soon.
Yes.
Because
It comes out.
because I've seen pictures of you in the laundromat.
Right.
But are we not showing the monster before?
No, he's in the old poster and he's in the new poster too.
Oh, the new poster. Okay, you're gonna
the
have
new
to show
poster
us.
dropping from Anchor Bay.
We can't premiere it live on Stream Dreams.
Because
Well, this is not. This,
That's up to him.
This is going to come out in a couple of weeks anyway.
Right.
When does the film come
or
out?
when you want it to come out?
September 13th.
Says
September
Friday the
13th.
13th.
Friday the
Hell
13th.
yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
perfect.
what month is that?
September
September.
13th.
Next month.
Which is
Can-
sooner than you think.
Oh,
Yeah.
are we allowed to show the poster?
That's up to Thomas.
Yeah, Tom
Zemeck.
said yes.
I
So
think
Tom said
yes.
yes.
can you pull it up on your phone?
Well, we'll get it.
I don't
We'll
have
put
my
it
yeah.
in the.
Tom,
do you have it?
They'll work technically.
Yeah,
on
but
it
I want to see it
now.
right now.
Well, yeah, but we got to react
Let's
to
see
it.
it.
Oh,
Let's
yes.
see it.
I don't
Yeah.
have my phone. Do you?
Tom, you got
That's
a
a
phone?
responsible
Chris.
podcast guest right there.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. No
Hey,
phone.
it's
I don't
little
have
buzzing.
mine.
I don't want the buzzing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't want
Thank
any
you.
So
phones.
Thomas,
We'll find it.
well, he'll figure it
We'll
out.
figure.
Because-
He's working on it. It's a work in
Okay,
progress.
while they're working on that and finding that, I just want to say that the movie is adorable and so cute. And when this monster shows up that's made of a pile of laundry and it's all socks, though, it really is a sock monster.
Yeah.
It's terrifying and beautiful and
cute.
cute at the
And
same
and
time.
gross.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
So
like.
there's a moments when
a
it's
little
gross, but yeah.
And that's okay. I think
Uh-huh.
you have to hit all of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you were you always based in LA or did you spend time in New
No, I
York?
grew up in Maryland.
There's, actually now that you say that, it does have like a John Waters kind of
Oh, yeah.
feel
Yeah.
to
Yes.
it.
Well,
I
this
agree
is
with
what
that.
it's kind of those things as when when I started teaching acting, I said, God, I don't know what I'm doing, and my friend goes, you know more than you think.
Yeah.
And so when I started doing this, I was like, oh, my favorite movies
yeah.
are Ed Wood.
Oh.
My favorite movie is Young Frankenstein, John Waters movies. And then you go, oh, it's in me. I didn't even know I was doing those
Right.
things. It's just in you, and the best comment that I got from Roxy was, "It looks like something an homage to so many things, but something I've never seen before."
Yeah,
it is something.
was
It's
so
not like
unique.
something I've ever seen.
And it reminded me, like, one of the things that I've been struggling with since being in LA is, like, in New York, which is where I was for 10 years, there's this, like, creative spirit, and we do these really weird experimental art films all the time for, like, no real reason.
Right.
That, like, never really go anywhere, but we just do it to
you're doing
do
it
it.
for art, yeah.
And this felt like that on a larger level. And it was just, like, it made me, like, feel, like, safe in a weird way and, like, at home also while watching,
Well,
like, a horror movie.
the weirdest part was when we were starting with the Saska sisters. I said, "Am I crazy?" And I was telling the Saska sisters about it, and they said, "Well, send it to me." And this was the only reason I thought, God, can this get made? She wrote me back and she goes, "This is such a special film." She goes, "The only worry I'll have is that you landing in a place that will embrace all of it, because it's not a horror film, it's not an art film, it's not a comedy, it's all three." And she goes, "So hopefully you'll find a place," which we did at Anchor Bay.
So thank you, Anchor
Thank
Bay.
Yes,
you,
thank you,
Anchor
Anchor Bay.
For taking
And,
a chance on a
but-
very unusual and original.
Yeah,
film.
and she was, and that's what inspired me to go, okay, I have something here. If they think it's that great, you know.
The thing is, we're three-dimensional beings, right? And I think so often, we talk about this a lot on the show, but so often everything gets, like, put into these boxes, and we're stuck working in these boxes, and because of that, things become repetitive and boring.
Right.
And that's the antithesis of what we're supposed to be doing as storytellers and creatives and, like, what we do as people. So it's so exciting to see when people try to do something outside the box and when people are receptive to it.
Yes.
And, like, even nothing has to be perfect. It just has to be authentically you. And that's what this feels.
I love that.
You know,
That's exactly it. You could never try to make a movie to be like a successful movie. I mean, obviously you'd love that. You want that. Your goal is for, everyone to see it, but it should come from a place of authenticity and passion, so that no matter what, there was a reason for it. We put ourselves out there and we just hope for the best. And it's like, I liken it oftentimes to having my kids. It's like I've watched Sleepaway Camp and I always cry because Sleepaway Camp was my whole life and my childhood and a time when my father was alive and with me. And then I watched it grow up. And that's why I love that movie so much, because it's given me the opportunity to have community and friends and my art, you know?
Well, it was so
So why
funny
we're
because
here.
the way Dan and Felissa talked about it was not any other way that any other producer talked about it. They would talk and say, "Oh, there it is."
Oh, let's see. Okay.
Sometimes life sucks.
You guys see
so
that?
Look at that.
Can you see that?
Isn't that great?
That's amazing.
it's so good.
Beautiful.
So it kind of captures it. You know?
It really does.
It feels
It's the vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, the red blood too. Nice.
The
Selective
pops
color.
of color in the film
Life-
specifically is
fun.
really fun.
Sometimes life sucks.
Yeah, I came up with that one.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm waiting for those merch collabs. You have the best merch collabs.
Sometimes life sucks, and it's not just
Oh,
another
we
piece
have
of toast.
had.
yes.
And what was the other one?
It's not just another piece of toast.
Yeah,
You guys really need to
that.
work with like terrorist threads or fright rags and put out socks.
Well, no, what
Like,
we
you
have-
really
we
do.
already have-
Put out socks.
We already have.
I'm putting it out there, guys.
yeah.
We
That's
already
a good
have.
idea.
We already have people working on that. That I have a friend from my high school made all the Crust shirts, made all the Crust coffee mug. Like my coffee mug says Crust and it says
Is it
Life Socks, drink coffee. And, and we started that. But the thing I've gotten the most is everybody. And so we have a 350 person fan club called Crusties who've seen nothing, but they've been into it since my
They have.
announcement of
Love
doing
that.
it.
That's
Aw.
And
They love Sean.
They
They're-
literally are saying,
they're the
"Get
Shawnees."
me a plushie. I want
Oh.
a Crust plushie.
I want a plushie.
pillow.
You
a
need
Crust-
to create.
Crust
Oh my
Yes.
God, this could go really big.
wanna
No, no,
hug
I
this
want to
little-
find a plushie
little
place.
Crust.
I don't know who
We
does
need
plushies.
like shelves so we
yeah.
can put everyone's
Do you? We
stuff.
got-
in.
yeah,
yeah,
we
we
gotta
got
talk.
and
We have
talk.
the golden
Yeah, yeah,
chain
yeah.
socks.
Absolutely.
Today.
My friend Zuli does oh my gosh, Zuli dolls, and they're
Like the
so
voodoo-ish
cute,
dolls,
like
those
voodoo.
ones? Yeah,
but
those
she,
are great too.
But Zudu, because she's Zuli.
Yeah.
So she has little
Yeah.
plush dolls for every character. in horror.
Well, when is how is this coming out? So the
Yeah.
release is what?
It's
It's
September
coming out.
13th.
Friday, the 13th of September.
No, I know, but like in theaters, what theaters? Limited release? or
Yes,
the-
limited
what is it?
release theatrically, VOD, and absolutely physical media. The
Nice.
funniest part is when I was, well, because I know, like, I inspired this because I did a movie called, Felissa introduced me, called Ugly Sweater Party. And I went and I went and worked with these guys, and they were getting stuff done. And I thought, oh, you can actually make a movie. These guys are doing stuff in their house.
You really
Yeah.
have a connection with laundry. I'm
Yeah,
pulling the parallel
I
together.
know. I was thinking that too.
Is
I
that
don't know.
also a horror?
Well,
A horror
Ugly Sweater
Christmas.
Party?
Yeah, it's a horror
Yeah.
Christmas
Is it
movie.
a
It's very
feature
funny.
or
Yeah,
short?
It
it's a
is,
feature.
and it's so
It's
fun.
now-
so talk about John Waters. This is like a
Now I
John
want to do a
Waters
triple
movie.
feature of Crust, Slacks, and
Yeah,
No,
Slacks.
someone already
Oh my God, Slacks! I love that
work your
movie.
way up, getting dressed
Yeah.
every morning.
Our
That's a great
producer Chris
film.
Sergi already said we've got to do shirts.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause we have
Yeah.
socks,
Socks.
and shirts.
Socks.
I love the socks.
Need socks.
Yes, we already have them getting made that say.
But
you know, sometimes
I'm
life
picturing
sucks.
these plushy
Oh, God.
dolls that are
Dolls.
made of, that look like Crust and giving them to babies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they can have them in
They
their
could be like
cribs.
little elves.
You,
Well-
you said for
Yeah.
sure physical release, so Blu-ray.
Yes, because when so here's the weird thing. The
Yeah.
only distributor that we had a meeting with was Anchor Bay, and Chris, me and Chris laugh all the time because I'm so excited and energetic, and I want to work with everybody. Chris will say, "Oh, the waiter was nice to you. Guess what? She's the lead in Sean's next movie." And he right before Anchor Bay, he goes, "Shut up. Don't say anything. Don't." And so Thomas is saying, no, the way to do a cult movie is you re-release it and you repackage it the color, because we have a color version. We have a director's
yes.
cut. We
Wow.
have, and he goes every couple of years because that's what collectors do. And I was thinking, does that really work? And then I looked at one of my favorite Elvis Costello albums, and I had like 5 of them. And I go, I'm that guy. Like,
yeah.
I bought all the re-releases, and everything he was saying, I was going, oh my God, I love this guy. And I could just see Chris looking at me and going, shut up. Please shut up.
But that's why
know?
you guys are
It
so
was
perfect
great.
for something like this, and that's why this community is so amazing, is like, because we are fans of each other, so we make films for the fans.
Right, and that's
know?
who I'm. So I would say to, and when I talk to producers, they're like, I don't know if this is going to go well on Walmart, and I said, I'm not making it for Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
how does
not
this
who I'm
play
making it for.
internationally?
Right, like
Right.
it's like,
Don't care,
listen,
I didn't make it
the
for that,
people who
you
will
know?
love it will love it,
It's a
and then there's
sweet
plenty of
movie.
people
It's
who
darling.
won't.
It's like a little baby.
Yeah.
And it has a lot, again, it has a lot of heart. And I think people will really get the message.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And I still think it could. I mean, we talk about this too on the show. The horror does well internationally, and the setup for this does well in any language. Everyone
Right.
knows what a laundromat is, and everyone loses socks and knows what a sock monster
Right,
is. Like,
right.
This is a universal thing. This is not. We're not. Everyone can identify.
Well, we're so happy
Yes.
that this year has brought back black and white. Think of Oppenheimer. Think of Poor Things. Think of, and then I did not even know, because I saw Godzilla -1 released in
color.
black and white.
Yeah,
No, but I
Godzilla
said,
-1
because
minus
he
color.
wanted it in black and
Yep.
white, and they said if you hit a certain number color, we'll do it in black and white. So it's not so scary for black and white now because people have seen a lot of it in the last few years. So I feel like, and then I think it was also inspirational because, when the head of Disney came back and he's like, we're doing Toy Story 5 and Moana the live version, and we're going to do so-and-so 6 and so-and-so 7. And I go, wow, the movies no one wants. No one wants these movies. We don't just want franchises. You were saying art,
Yeah.
interesting,
Well, there are films that are coming.
Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
Yes.
It feels like you're watching theater. It
Yes.
doesn't feel like
Yes.
And there's a place for this idea that we have to like exist in this rigid realist structure
Right.
is so absurd. Nobody
Right.
said we had to do that. Like
Yeah.
let's break the rules a little bit. It's totally fine, and that's where the best things come from.
Well, I remember when Lars von Trier's did Breaking the Waves or whatever, and people
I
were
love
like,
that movie.
but people were like, what is he doing? And we're like, mixing things up. It's amazing, you know?
He's my favorite filmmaker, and
He's
that's one of
great.
my favorite movies of all time. Yeah.
He's really, really
So we
great.
always ask people what scares you. You guys are really happy, effervescent, lovely, lively people. But really, what scares you? Because we talk. Our show's called Scream Dreams. What is it that really gets you?
For me, the usual stuff, like any of my family being hurt or, that kind of stuff. But I have this great fear, and I love the beach and I love the water, but I am terrified of drowning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have like a really, I don't know.
Do you have dreams about it? Like nightmares?
No,
Okay.
I was just saying, I don't think I've ever had a nightmare.
Oh, wow.
Really?
I'm so jealous. I only have nightmares. Can we
know a lot of
trade
people
just
do.
a little
Do?
bit?
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a little.
You really
yes.
do?
Only.
Do you
That's
know-
kind of
do
how
you
I
wake
came up
up
with the
and
idea
say,
for
"Oh
the
my
show.
God"?
Yes, every night. That's kind of how I had the idea for the show.
Really?
Yeah. Because I only have them. We should figure out how to swap just a little bit.
little.
Yeah.
Just a little.
My daughter has sleep paralysis,
Oh,
which
that's
is
Oh,
really
I
hard.
just
that
made a
sounds
movie about that.
horrible.
Yeah.
That's really hard. And she has seen the sleep paralysis
Like the demon?
Purse demon.
Yeah.
and it's really hard. I think she actually has a lot of psychic ability, and so she sort of, her energy and everything
Empathic.
is very, very my Lola. She's very, very sweet.
Yeah.
But I recently did have 2 dreams, but they're about my cat because I'm madly in love with my cat.
Yeah, same.
I'm so in love with this animal.
Yeah.
And
And I foster cats. And I was like, oh, I got one for you. She goes, no, I've got the most beautiful cat. And I was like, okay,
I'm in love,
whatever.
legit.
And then she
I
showed
took a
me-
picture of his feet today. I was like, look at those feet.
She's just obsessed.
I'm
What's his name?
obsessed. Nobu.
No boo.
Nobu.
Nice.
And I had 2 dreams. He couldn't get through the window. He's very heavy.
Oh, it was Chonky Cat.
Oh, what a
Chonky
what-
boy.
Wait, he's getting spoiled with treats? I don't get it.
He's 20 pounds. And everybody told me that's very large.
That's a big boy.
Is that big boy?
Yeah.
You want to be
He
around.
couldn't get through the window, and he had flowers attached to him, and I was trying to pull them off, but I didn't want to hurt him. That's the biggest nightmare I've had so far.
That's like
thus far.
annihilation, but
I
with
was
a
like,
cat.
oh no, Boo, I'm so terribly sorry. And I've had them. I had one last week and last night. Just me loving on him. I love him so deeply.
Yeah, I feel you. I
Don't
love
tell my
Lucy
dogs
so much.
because I love them too. But my cat
funny.
is the love of my life.
What about you, Sean? Do you have them?
I think it was. I was always like, I never got scared of the guys with the knives. You know what I mean? Those guys. I don't know why. It's stuff that I can't control. So Exorcist was
Wait, so
crazy.
you had a nightmare?
No, I had. Well, it was Twilight Zone. When my sister would watch Twilight Zone and Night Gallery, which was way scarier. And I would sneak out and watch it behind her back. She was like 6 years older. And then I'd go in my room like, and they're like, yeah, you can't watch it anymore. She's like, why are you ruining my gig?
Yeah.
Like, it's my gig and I can't. And so they couldn't watch it anymore. But things that are out of your control spiritually, like that's why Exorcist.
That's what you're afraid of?
Yeah. And I think,
Possession
Good
movies,
one.
yeah.
That's a good
well,
one.
and I think losing my mental faculties, and, like The Father was so rough. I mean, I don't know
I
if you
know.
guys saw
I
The
saw
Father.
The
I mean, it's
Father,
it's
yes.
a masterclass in that
Amazing,
thing. I mean,
yeah.
it's a masterclass, and it makes Silence of the Lambs look like a Nickelodeon show. He's amazing in The
Right?
Father,
Yeah.
but it's terrifying at the
It
same
is.
time. Very difficult.
It's about dementia.
It's about
and losing
dementia. And it's
yourself.
his
That's a
perspective.
terrifying
Hopkins?
part
So-
of life.
Anthony Hopkins. yeah.
Anthony Hopkins, but like, his daughter walks in, and then the next thing, another woman walks in, and she's like, "What are you talking about, Dad? I am your daughter." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
That's
really
terrifying.
that was,
Yeah.
but that I
The
think.
way it was shot was beautiful too.
but I
Yeah.
had my scariest dream as a kid that I've never forgotten. Is I was in a lake. We had a lake in my grandparents, and everyone was going, "No, it's not there." Like, I'm waiting in the middle of the lake, and they go, "No, you have to go find it below." And I knew it was some kind of graveyard below. So I went under, and I was following like this big concrete column, and I remember tucking under, and all these dead bodies popped out, and like in kind of like Poltergeist.
Yeah.
And I woke up, but I've never forgotten that dream. Never. It was
Wow.
terrifying.
How could you? That's
Yeah,
terrifying.
it was really scary.
Well,
good
then
one.
what are your night lights? We asked this on the show too. And what we mean by night lights is like in the midst of all the monsters, all the terrible, scary things, all the cats stuck in windows. what is what is the thing that keeps you going, that when you wake up from the nightmare or when you're in your darkest place mentally, what is the light at the end of the tunnel that lets you know it's all going to be okay?
What do you think? You're like,
Is it
I
the
bought
cat?
diet cat food.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Is it Nobu?
Always no
I'm
boo.
feeding Nobu less.
it's, for me, my 3 kids are the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe in my younger years I had some depression and I didn't know because I was always like a people pleaser and happy and I recognized it after I had kids because they gave me such unconditional, complete joy that I finally knew what that was. And I was like, now I'm really authentically happy in this life. Like I really am so comfortable and just my kids are my everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
For me, it's my antidepressant medication. No, but I think it's honestly that, look, we lift each other up all the time, and I think it's finally, she knew my ex-wife in my marriage, and she was always like, this doesn't seem to work. And when that ended, I think I didn't know who I was at all. And
how
I think
long were
that's
you
why
married for?
I was married for 21 years.
Yeah, you
know,
got to readjust to
that's
who you are as an
right,
individual.
exactly.
How long
Yeah.
ago was this that happened?
Like 2015.
Okay.
And we had become friends like 2013 and stuff, and she was so supportive all the way through it. But I think it's now, look, when I was in that marriage,
And he has a beautiful wife who he's been married to now.
yeah, so we've been together 10 years, married
Nice.
for 3.
Great.
But we, I think it was that I when I was in the marriage that wasn't really working, I think it was, I used to say, I just want to live long enough to get my pension and see my grandkids. That was my only goal. And now, when I met my wife, and me and Felissa started working together, and I had ideas, and I got my medication figured out and stuff like that. Because I was like, I'm not going to do medication. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to meditate and exercise and all that stuff. And then
It's
my
holistic. It's everything.
my aunt wrote a book about our letters and diaries from my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, and they all had anxiety and depression. So my doctor goes, this has nothing to do with how hard you're working.
No,
like
it's
this
a
is
biochemical thing.
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah.
once I did that, it was like she could see my life light just went, and I just pursued everything. And I think it's now that it's like when you've had a big run in the 90s, which I did. I had a really good run for like 8 years, and then you have to fight your way back into it's. If anything positive happens from this movie, I know how lucky I am. I didn't know how lucky I was back then.
Yeah.
But I know how
There's
lucky
no
I am
fight.
now.
It's a
It's
nice,
no fight,
easy-
right? It's
a
all
nice,
joyous
easy-
and yeah, and I think that's it. Is that I'm not an actor anymore. Because I don't believe that's possible anymore. I don't think there's such thing as saying, I'm just an actor, I'm going to get good,
say
and I'm
that
going
all
to
the
wait
time.
for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
We say
That's
that all the
over.
time. We really do.
There's no such thing. It's
Anymore.
over. It's if you're not a filmmaker, you need to be a hyphenate. You need to be an actor, director,
I think
actor,
that's
writer,
true,
actor,
especially
producer.
today.
You can't.
You know, all the young people are doing that too. They're
Right,
writing their own
and
stuff.
and so for me, like I never even thought I wanted to direct Crust. It's Gary said, my manager at the time said, unfortunately, the town doesn't care if you produced it or co-wrote it. Directing means the most, and so I learned how to do it. And Felissa, this is her gift, and I didn't know this until last year. For the first time, she goes, "Did I ever tell you I want to be a matchmaker when I was a kid?" And I go, "Now it makes sense. Now it makes
I
sense."
can see it.
I always
can
wanted
tell
to-
you
So
do.
she knew the crew
I'm gonna
I
get married.
needed.
You're marrying me.
Yeah.
I've just
yes,
decided
I'm
you
an
have to.
officiant.
Yes, you have
I
to.
have married people.
She knew the crew that I needed. She knew. She goes, I know the people you need.
Oh, so
And
you put the crew
Just
she
together.
put the crew
Oh, yeah.
together.
Oh, awesome.
I said, I just need the cast because I need to work with people I trust.
Sure.
She usually helps with cast. She goes, I trust you. We trusted each other, and we brought together the most joyous,
Yeah, everybody
lovely,
was so happy to be there.
Yeah,
At lunchtime, which was midnight, Sean would
3 in the
have
morning.
people each person would have a playlist and
cool.
play through. So everybody was like dancing and singing and while they're eating their lunch and feeling.
At 3 in the morning at a laundromat.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
uplifting.
How,
and
how many
again,
days
like-
did you have for
We
your
did
show?
11 days in the laundromat and then 1 day in a studio.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
Wow.
that's
We were
crazy
moving.
to me.
Yeah.
I remember Danny
Okay.
Roebuck and Alan Rock both go, your crew's moving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me ask before we go, because I wanted to find out how you felt about working, since you're an acting teacher as well, working with all of the actors in that capacity.
I think it was, we would do Zooms and stuff. And I had my acting coach actually, I said, will you help us? And I would just set up meetings with each character. Felissa worked with him. He gave her a great line that she loved in the movie and stuff like that, and helped us get through it. And so I would just do that. And for me, what I find so important was it was like I said to everybody, every idea is welcome. I go, I may not use them, but the last thing you should say to me is, oh, I didn't want to bother you. And I go, no, you bother me because it can solve the problem if you don't tell me. And I said, but every idea is valid. One of our funniest lines in the movie is from our gaffer, So everyone was allowed to bring,
do you remember?
The detective. He says, checkmate, I win.
Yes, I remember that. Sure.
And that was literally our gap. We were like, oh, we have to have a good, and he came up with that. And it feels really weird. Like if you go onto a panel and you're sitting there with a bunch of people that are the other actors, I go, why isn't my crew here? Now I know on this side, you go, wow, they're beyond important, and they never get as much publicity or love as they should,
That's true.
But it was just such a wonderful group.
If you can entertain your crew, when I've been on sets and
Yes.
then the crew is laughing or they're
Yes.
scared, or
They
you
really
feel the
did.
energy, that's your audience. You
Yeah.
know? If you can entertain the crew and make them absorbed in the film, because lots of times they're off on this set, when the
waiting,
camera's
yeah.
rolling, they're looking at their phone while you're acting.
Yeah.
And they're in my eye line and I see somebody on their
I
phone.
was just
Yeah.
reading
Yeah.
that for Beetlejuice. That was Michael Keaton's. He credits the crew because the first time he showed up on set in character, they all were chanting "juice, juice, juice." They just encouraged him to take it that
Yeah.
far,
Right.
and that's what gets him into
That's
that
so
mode.
sweet.
Yeah.
When you've got, especially on low budget stuff, when the crew is excited, that's how you know you have something magic.
And they were so engaged.
Yeah.
They were laughing and screaming to the point where we were like, guys,
Well,
we
the
had
other-
some
clean
funny
audio.
moments.
Right on the set.
When Ricky
Oh,
Dean
God,
Logan and
when Ricky
I,
showed up
when Ricky showed
in
up,
that
he was
outfit,
he was a ball of energy, and he had a step stool because we have that little scene together, and he has to throw me on the
table.
on the table, and he had a stool, and it was so
was
fun.
so
The crew just
funny.
lost it. They
Well, the
couldn't
weird
even-
thing was that then the other thing that was important to me is that so many of the crew members go man, your actors are so good. And I thought, what do you mean? And they go, I mean, you just have good actors. And I go, would you ever go up to a cameraman and go, your camera's in focus? Why is that astounding to you that I have good actors?
Honestly-
Shouldn't we have good actors?
Honestly, my friend Jenna Cannell reframed this for me in a way recently, and I actually really appreciated it because I'll come off hard shoots and I'll go, but everyone said that I was really good, so I feel like that everyone was like, wow, you were really good, and she goes, yeah, this is your job.
Right.
Of course you're really good. But it was I never thought about it
Well,
like that.
sometimes in horror, people go, yeah, it doesn't, the acting
Yeah.
isn't a priority. And I thought, well, no, I don't, I want that. So, I mean, hope you guys thought the actors were
Of
good.
course. I thought the actors were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting to me to go, I'd like to work in a way that people don't say that again. You know what I mean? Why can't we have really good acting in independent movies?
Well,
you
I
know?
think actors are really good in horror movies. And
Yes,
especially
they
of
do.
lately.
I'm sorry, I'm not dissing anybody.
But
if you know what
also,
I mean.
the stories have gotten very complex and interesting
Right.
since the time we were doing movies in
Yes,
the 80s.
yes.
And so I think we've all risen to that task.
Yes,
You talk
Absolutely.
about
Yes,
that
I
in
agree.
your article, which is why I've cited this all the time. It's why I fell in love with Barbara before I even met her. She had this article called "Don't Call Me a Scream Queen."
Yes.
that
Yes.
Which I
just thought
interviewed you for,
was
I think.
brilliant.
Yes, to give a comment
and
on.
what you say in that is so true. You say I put the same amount of work into my roles in horror as I do in the soaps that I've done, the TV spots I've done, the theater I've done. It doesn't matter. It is
Right.
the same process. It is the same amount of work. And so anybody who says that it's less than just doesn't know what they're talking
Right,
about.
not at all.
Because the process is exactly the same. And some of the best performances that we have on screen
I think
are genre
more.
Oh my
I think
God,
more
I
so.
think more so
I mean,
now.
in life, you're not being chased by,
how do we
somebody
make
with
this
a
believable?
knife.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you
Right?
make it
Yeah.
honest? The characters are so intense and going through such a rigorous situation and scenario that it's really, you want the audience to feel, totally compelled by the moment, and yet you want to be honest. And there's so much going on in the moment.
Well, I think, and Felissa, like, I wrote that part for her.
Thanks, Sean.
Because we had a shared, the speech is a shared experience that we had. And it was just full circle when I'm sitting there and they go cut and they're sitting there and they're working with Felissa and I go, I'm working with Angela on my grown-up movie. Oh my God. But you're kind of really sitting there. You're sitting there going. And, no, but we were sitting and we just looked at each other and go, oh my God, because we've done movies in the same world, but we've never got to act together, and it was so much fun.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We had so much
those
fun.
Nights were so great.
Oh my God! And she was so emotional
fun.
and great, and I just thought, wow, this is amazing to have this happen.
Yeah, it's great.
Amazing.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
you have the
you.
link now.
I do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You can watch it.
Let us know what you think.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
This was, every time we do our tape days, I feel like this, but especially with you guys, this is just such a uplifting, positive, inspiring note to end on. I'm so glad that we're so lucky to have you guys. Thank you so
We're
much.
lucky to be here.
We're
with all of
very
you.
grateful
Thank
to be
you.
here. Thank you for getting the word out on a small
Yeah.
film. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We love it. Everybody should go and watch Crust when it comes out.
Yes.
Remind us of the date again.
Friday, September 13th.
Oh, how could I forget?
Yeah, Friday the
Friday
13th.
13th.
I was kind of thinking, maybe we should say something like Friday the 13th. Are you lucked or fucked? I don't know. Crust is coming.
Yeah, that's really cute. I love that.
He stayed up all night.
Thomas is like, no.
Chris
Chris
is like,
hates it. Chris hates it.
He's doesn't like
He
it.
hates
Definitely
it.
not.
It's so charming. You guys are charming. We love you both.
Where can they find out about the film? Where can they find out about you, the people of the world? Let them know.
Yeah, we're all over social media,
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook.
At Sean
we'll
Whalen
post.
Actor. Yeah. And I've got other product. I've got a comedy web series dropping. It's called, Psyche on Sunset. It's about the hottest restaurant in LA where all the waiters are trained therapists, but they're the worst therapists in the world. So a guy would say, like, I'm going to have a martini. My wife will have the same. And I'm like, oh, you don't think she can order for herself, huh? And he goes, no, I do this all the time. And I go, oh, so you're a control freak. And,
Yeah,
stuff.
that's cute.
Yeah, it's very fun, and that's dropping. And, and I did a short with a Crust cast. We call it a Crustini. She was out of town, but we did that. And so, so it'll be
Well,
a lot of
Felissa may
different
also
stuff. And
have
Felissa's
soon
got
have the Guinness Book of World Records
for the most horror movies in and produced.
and conventions
Yeah.
attended.
Definitely the most convention.
You should look for
appearances.
the Guinness Book of World
I know.
Records. I
That
feel
would
like.
be.
I feel
that'd
like
be
who
cool.
has it?
Well, what's
I think
beautiful?
there's
has
a lot. I think a lot of actors and
Kane does a lot.
managers.
Kane does a lot.
No,
You
but
got
not every
Bill,
not every weekend.
Sid
Oh,
was with
yeah.
that.
But
Sid
you
was-
still
think
think
you-
it's-
I think you might have it.
Yeah.
I think
You might.
honestly, we were
gonna
talking
call
about this with when Jamie Kennedy was here. You might be the reason that horror conventions have become what they are. I'm not kidding.
No.
Because,
That's not.
because
You're an
that's not
ambassador for the horror
exaggeration.
yeah,
That's
it's
not
not.
an
It's like
exaggeration.
you have single-handedly built an industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really
also,
have.
what's beautiful to have her as a producer is she's our boots on the ground and going. She, are people asking about it, and she always says like, "Oh, people
Absolutely.
love
Every
it. They're
panel.
curious." You know what I mean?
And everybody's interested in it.
Right.
It's so fun at the conventions to talk about the new films and
Yeah.
what's happening. So
And Stream
it's
is
good
coming
stuff.
out when now?
Stream comes out August 21st. I'm so proud. And
Yes.
today a new
Very
film dropped their trailer that I'm so proud of. It's called A Hard Place because it was a character that was really difficult for me, an Appalachian woman. I don't know how I got cast in this, but it was so brilliantly directed by Jason Horton, and I'm so excited about this film.
I see
A
you did your
monster
research because you said Appalachian, not
Appalachian.
Appalachian. Yes.
Yes, I had to do a whole
Did you
with the
have to do
accent.
the dialect?
Yes, the
Oh, cool.
dialect and monster versus monster film.
Oh,
and it's
so
really
cool.
exciting.
What's it called again?
A Hard Place.
And when does that come out?
Today the trailer dropped.
Oh.
I'm
Okay,
not
we'll look it
entirely
up.
sure.
Oh, cool.
that-
Check that out.
Yeah,
Cool.
so thank
That's
you.
very
I'm
cool.
happy about that
Aw.
movie. Just because, when you put yourself, I'm not a producer, I'm just an actor in it. And it was so fun with Bai Ling and Sadie Katz
Oh, nice.
and
Oh,
Lynn
Sadie.
Lowry,
Yeah.
a lot of fun actors.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm at Sean Whalen Actor on every social platform. So
Cool.
Great.
yeah,
Wow.
or the Krusties fan page.
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
they get stuff first. They do. If you're a Krusty, you get stuff a little sooner than everyone else.
Well,
crusty.
sometimes life sucks, but you
That's
don't have to if you subscribe and follow and share Scream Dreams with your friends.
Yes, Scream Dreams.
Like it, ring the bell, do
Yes.
those things.
Yes, do all of the things. Purchase the plushies and the socks when we have
Coming
them.
soon.
Coming soon. Until next time, I'm Catherine Corcoran.
I'm Barbara Crampton.
And I'm James A. Janisse. Be sure to leave the light on.